Imagine you walk into a room and you find your best friend crying. She's in tears. She's just sad. What will you do? Most likely, you'll sit there with her, hug her, and reassure her. You'll tell her, hey, I'm right here for you, right? I consider myself personally my best friend. So when I'm feeling sad, when I'm feeling low, when I'm feeling angry about something, I do my best to be present for myself. Just sit with myself, ask myself, what's going on? Where is it? You're sad, you're feeling angry. What is it about? I get curious about what's going on within me. Instead of suppressing those feelings, I try to let them come out. Hello, hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, karibu sana, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Today we are discussing self-love. The over-consumerism culture has made it look like self-love is, bath bombs and face masks and taking yourself to the spa and getting your nails done. I think self-love is much deeper than that, and also much more important than anything else. Because if you do not practice self-love, if you do not love yourself, then that means you will not have any love for anybody else or anything else. You need to fill your cup so that once it's full, then it can pour over to the people around you, to your life, to your career, to your children, and everything you touch just turns into gold. For me, the concept of self-love was made much more realistic and practical by Brené Brown in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. Brené says, we cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known, and when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, respect, kindness, and affection. The minute I read that chapter on self-love in that book, I took my journal, and I highly recommend that you do this. Write down, I love myself when That way, self-love becomes a more practical tool that you're employing in your day-to-day life. Our lists may look the same or not, and it's still perfectly okay. Self-love is very individual, and it's about what makes you whole. For me, I love myself when I journal down my thoughts, when I'm able to be vulnerable with myself and really write down what's going on internally, from feelings, thoughts, past experiences that still bother me. Being able to be vulnerable on a piece of paper is very important for me, because coming back to see what I wrote and where I am now, I don't know, it's something about the growth, the vulnerability, the authenticity of just being able to put down what's going on pen and paper. Respect is also very important, self-respect. So when I say I'm gonna do something, I do it, because that is what respect means, and I respect myself enough to hold myself accountable. If I said, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna study for an hour, I have to do it. And if I don't do it for one reason or the other, there is nothing to beat myself down for. Really and truly, I am learning that accountability has nothing to do with being harsh on yourself. You have to just relax. Sometimes I will mess up. Sometimes I will not do what I said I was gonna do. But am I going to beat myself down to the floor because I did not do that yoga routine I said I was gonna do? No. Because self-compassion is also recognizing your weaknesses and your strengths and accepting yourself wholly. I love myself when I remove myself from toxic situations and set boundaries. If self-love is about respecting myself, when I allow toxic people around me, I am betraying myself. And I actually heard this from Caroline Myss, that when you betray yourself, what is the difference between you and the person who abused you in your childhood? I know, right? Setting boundaries is very uncomfortable for me, I'll be honest. And I've lost a lot of relationships, inauthentic connections, because of setting boundaries. The guilt that comes afterward because I chose myself. I am a recovering chronic people pleaser. But I have learned that there is nothing wrong with feeling guilty. For me, feeling guilty is the fire alarm that makes me go, oh, maybe I'm actually changing. Maybe I am choosing something different from people pleasing tendencies. Maybe I am choosing myself. Maybe now I am protecting myself. And it's uncomfortable, and we sit through the discomfort, yes. Even with the person I'm setting the boundary with, it's uncomfortable in that moment when you tell them, hey, you know, when you do this, it really hurts me. You have to sit there and just be in that discomfort where you're just looking at each other like, yeah, you know, I'm uncomfortable, you're uncomfortable, but we have to do this for me, for you, for this connection. This one here is also very important to me, but sometimes it can be hard to practice, and that's self-compassion. That negative self-talk that is constantly going on and on in your head. See, you said you were gonna go to the gym. Now you didn't do it. What the fuck is wrong with you? Hey, 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 hey. I do my best to keep that voice in check, because that is the voice of my abuser. There's so many times, like when I'm learning how to play the guitar, you know, when you start learning how to play anything, the first few days, the first few weeks, heck, the first few months, you're struggling. Why? Because you don't even know how to do it. You never did it a day in your life. So it is hard. And when I'm doing it, there's that time when I just start hearing the voice of my childhood abuser going on in my head. And it just sounds something like, you piece of shit. See, you cannot get anything done. What is wrong with you? You are dumb. You are foolish. You don't deserve anything. You are unworthy. And that voice, it is so real, you guys. Each time I hear the voice just coming up, I'm like, hold up, hold up. Hold up. There are times I even tell myself, oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry I talked to you that way. This is it right here. When I forget to do something, right? And then I remember and I'm like, oh, what is wrong with me? What's wrong with you, Ivy? I'm like, and I literally say it in my head. I'm like, Ivy, I'm sorry I shouted at you. You don't deserve that. I love myself when I follow through with the purpose of my soul by pursuing spiritual, emotional, psychological, and physical success. I cannot insist this enough, because most of us are just living our lives doing what we are expected to do, doing what everybody else thinks we should be doing. But I have taken the time to really just walk away from every other person's expectations of me and come back to my soul, to my home, to my creator, to my source, and really be like, okay, God, what do you want from me? What do you want me to do? Why am I here? What is the purpose of my existence here? And start cultivating that. To me, this YouTube channel is a very huge part of my purpose and mission in this world, or so I feel intuitively. And I really try to put my best foot forward. I show up behind the scenes, on the scenes, I show up. Mentally, I read tons and tons of books. I cannot tell you how important it is to read. I love myself when I recognize my wounded inner child and allow my emotions to flow through my body. It is very, very important that you allow your negative emotions to flow through you. That is such a form of self-love for me. One thing I believe is that if you know your love language, love yourself in your own love language. For me, my top love languages is quality time and physical touch. And yes, I hug myself. I sit there and hug myself, guys. I kiss myself. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it sounds corny, but really because it's my love language. So I love myself in my own love language. Spending a lot of time alone is very important to me. A lot of downtime, time just reflecting or playing my favorite playlists or reading my favorite books, just seeking that harmony within is truly, truly, truly important to me. I love you so much. Continue to practice self-love, because without self-love, you're just like Walking Dead. Really, think about it. Without giving yourself love, you have no love to give out. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.